And 3, 2, 1. Boom. And we are back with another episode of Socratic Gamers. This is Socratic Dialogue. We kind of did away with the weekly roundups, given the fact that we have the ability to pump out episodes, although we haven't really been doing too much of that. But
I did, actually.
Well, we did 2 last week.
And the 2 before.
That's true. Yeah, that's like we've increased by 200%. So, but this is just one for the week. But yeah, Socratic Dialogue, take on one topic that we thought was cool, that we think is cool.
Yeah.
And
I think we're changing that, right? We're not doing the normal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, we don't do the weekly roundup. So this topic for this episode is, where do we go when we die?
Mm.
All right. So fun fact. I was hanging out with Tara at this party. Like we weren't together yet, and then she was saying like, "Oh, this is so it's like kind of boring," and I was like, "Okay, well, what wouldn't be boring, like topic wise, right? Because we were just like killing time.
Mm-hmm.
We were at like a mutual party, and then she's like, "Well, where do you think we go when we die?" And I was like, "Oh, that's new," because like people don't usually think about this thing.
Yeah.
And like when you hear something weird like that, you're just
if they
like,
do think about it, think about it normally,
or
personally,
mostly,
like not really talk about it in public.
That's true. Yeah, true. I guess you're right.
Right.
Not many people like to talk about it because it's like so taboo. But it's funny because if you look at like different religions and stuff, they've always tackled with this problem.
Yeah.
Like the Mesopotamians, they believed. Oh, I forgot that Gilgamesh. He went to go seek out death to overcome it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Gilgamesh, yeah. And then like Jesus obviously overcame death because he lived forever. What's death in Hinduism for? I don't really know that. I know there's like Vishnu the Destroyer, but they don't really talk about like afterlife and stuff.
Well,
the Greeks have Hades, and
there's something to do with karma though, or
reincarnation.
And but then it's also like where you would like to stop reincarnating would be to
accumulate enough positivity in one end, and then you like basically
you become one with the universe after, or something like that.
You move your way through the caste systems.
Not
right?
caste systems necessarily.
No, but
you
die and then you're like then you move up the next level, and you die and then you move up the next level if you have like a good karmic load.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, those are there's so many different variations of understanding because it's such an old culture that everyone has different interpretations.
That's true, yeah, I see what you're saying.
That happens through time because of other colonization may bring new understanding or different understanding that may change the meaning. So we may have lost the original meaning
of what reincarnation is, or death?
What it actually means, or
reincarnation.
What do they mean by that?
Saying. Yep, yeah, for sure.
So, So I mean, I guess the mainstream one right now would be reincarnation, that fits with that and Buddhism.
But one could argue that you're reincarnated.
That's also
in this one life.
That's also what
that's what I'm saying. That kind of thing.
That's also what I've also heard being said as well.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the whole thing of death? Also the Egyptians, they would take like the blue water lily, which is like DMT enriched, and then they'd say that like they'd have like travels into the another realm.
Right.
They're actually going to do that in a university. I forgot which one, but they're going to like medicine drip DMT into you so that you could prolong your stay in the DMT world, so that you can like explore death.
Okay.
But like I kind of see it like with that stuff, it's subjective. You know what I mean? Like unless we're in the same world and we see the exact same thing, then it's like it's just your own observation. But if two people are observing the exact same thing, then independently, so it's like we'll undergo DMT or something, you and I, and then we'll be like, what did you see? What did I see? Independently, and if they match up, then you know that like you were looking at something else that's not there. You know what I mean? Because I think like everyone is so obsessed with like this plane of existence.
Yeah.
One of the other ones is like, oh, maybe we're just like on one really long like drug trip right now, You know, like I've heard like, what if we're just aliens and then we like take a hit from the bong and then we're like in this world like this tangible world that we're in now, and then we like die and then we
Right.
wake up. But I kind of feel like all of that is like it's sort of like your mind is like not wanting to die.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
so personally, my view on death is that nerd, like NERD, no one ever really dies.
No, I don't know.
No, nerd, Pharrell Williams.
No.
You've never heard of Pharrell Williams?
Pharrell Williams, yeah.
Yeah,
But not
NERD. You've
nerd.
never heard of NERD?
No,
Oh, wow.
I don't follow Pharrell Williams.
No, it was like, all right, well, whatever, who cares? So it was like a big thing during our time. Anyways, nerd.
Really? I didn't. Maybe I was a little older, I guess. I don't know.
Rockstar,
Rockstar?
like, all right, never mind.
Like the Rockstar Games?
No, but all right, whatever. Screw it. Don't worry about that. Anyways,
Okay.
so no one ever really dies, and then what's his name? Einstein, energy can't be created or destroyed; it can only be transferred.
Yeah.
So my view on death is this: you can't leave something you've invariably been a part of. So it's like you're in an ocean, and then you have a wave, right?
Mhm.
And the wave comes up, and then the wave disappears, and then
Yeah.
that's kind of like it's always a constant flow of change.
Right.
We're all just like molecules shifting in and out of things, right?
Mhm.
Like different forms. It's only the mind that dies,
Yeah.
right? So if you have no cerebral cortex, if you have no spine, you have no mind.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have energy? Like, do you have matter?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that the circle of life?
No, totally, exactly. And it's like only this metaphysical thought, aka the mind, that's the
Mhm.
only thing that's even like aware of its own death.
Right.
Like, I don't think our dog has an awareness of death.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's just living, and then one day she'll be like, oh, this person's not there anymore. She can't comprehend it.
Right.
Right? She doesn't have like a prefrontal cortex that's big enough to like logically work
Mhm.
through that rationale.
Okay.
So like, I don't think death is real.
Yeah.
Transformation's real,
Mm-hmm.
but there is no such thing as death. It's just like, it's the cessation of mind.
Okay.
Do you agree? Disagree?
Cessation? What does that mean?
Like stopping.
Of the mind?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one can argue that.
Cause like what would death be? Like, what is death? Let's start with that. What is death?
Yeah, that's depends on how you want to.
Like the stopping of your experience.
Yeah.
Right? So then who is the only thing having the experience? The mind.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, death really is just the cessation of mind. Like the stopping of mind.
Yeah. So that's the main thing, right? I mean, that's if you want to like that's how I would view it. More like I'm not me anymore, right?
Yeah, totally.
So
Yeah.
that means when I'm dead, I'm dead.
Yeah. And like, I think that once we've comprehended life's existence, the first thing you think of is, oh no, this could end.
Yeah.
And then I think that's what like the story of Gilgamesh, who like went to go seek out death to like overcome it.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you look at it, he was probably just realizing his own experience, and he's like, oh, this could actually end. And
Okay.
if it ends, how can I make it not end? And I think that's what everyone seeks. Like, they don't want to stop their experience. But
Mhm.
if you don't stop your experience, don't you think you'd get tired of your experience over time?
Would you get tired of your experience?
Yeah. You know, like, let's say you could live forever.
Yeah.
Would you not get tired of it?
That's what they think. That's what they say. Or how do we know?
I feel like personally, like, I felt that in my own life, where it's like, wow, this is long now. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I would always think about like, oh, well, I'm just gonna
Well, it
die
depends
soon. I'm
on.
just gonna die soon.
Well, yeah, it depends on.
Now I'm like freaking 30. I'm like, damn, this is just not ending. Not in a negative way. I mean, just like, wow, it's like I'm living a lot longer than I thought I would.
Right.
Just because of like, you know,
Yeah.
just live free or die young. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
yeah. I don't know. And like, But the interesting thing is, if death is just the cessation of mind, then you can actually have what they call like the little death, which is meditation, because meditation is ultimately you stopping your mind. Ultimately, too, we die every time we go to sleep.
Yeah, it's a new
Right?
you.
No, but like your mind
I know
isn't
what you
like
mean. Yeah,
you're
yeah.
not consciously there when
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
sleeping. Why are we so
Yeah.
afraid of death, but we're not afraid to go to sleep at night?
Mhm.
You know, I've heard that so many times, and then it's always been like, oh, what does that actually mean? But it just means that there's no conscious awareness awake during your sleep, unless
Right.
you're dreaming, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah,
But like
yeah.
when you go into like a deep sleep,
Mhm.
like where you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, was I sleeping? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Good. Another good example. I'm reading Graham Hancock's book, and he had a seizure, and then in his chapter, he's like his final book.
Yeah.
Well, so he is dying, eh? Like he
Yeah, that's
says,
what he
I'm
said.
on borrowed time.
Yeah, he said
You
that.
know, so that could have been like one of the last times we ever saw him.
Mhm.
But anyways, so like he said that like, oh, I woke up in a hospital bed, and I was like, wait, what happened? And his brain had deleted the last 2 weeks leading up to the seizure.
Right.
So he literally jumped in time, woke up, and was like, what just happened?
Mm.
So it's like, couldn't one say that about our own experience? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
die, and then it's like, oh no, when will I get reincarnated? But you probably you have no comprehension of time,
Right.
right? You just wake up
Yeah.
as like a baby,
Mm.
destined to do it
Yeah,
over
yeah.
again.
Yeah, yeah.
So what I think our life experience is like, you know how they say like, you are the universe realizing itself?
Mhm.
So if you can't leave this, like you are made out of matter, out of energy, not like in an esoteric way, like literally you're made out of like kinetic energy and like matter,
Right.
like, you know, like
Yeah, yeah.
scientifically you are made out of energy.
Mhm.
And like the fact that you can realize that you are this thing that's made out of energy, I think that is the universe realizing itself. That's what they meant,
Mhm.
you know? Do you disagree or?
No.
Right? Like you are literally the universe made out of the same atoms.
Yes. I mean, that's
Just realizing your own existence.
I think that's something that Neil deGrasse Tyson
Yeah, he
pretty
said
much
that, yeah.
always tries to push.
Yeah,
or say.
totally.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's interesting because it's like we get so caught up in the play of life.
Mhm.
You know, we're so obsessed with the transient nature of it
Right.
that we can't just accept the change of it.
Mhm.
You know, we're so like, why does it have to change? Why is it always moving? But it's like, it just does that. That's life.
Right.
You know, like
Mm.
to hold on is what creates suffering. Attachment creates suffering. You know, that's what the Buddha said,
Yeah.
right? It's like, but what did he mean by attachment? He really meant like holding on to anything. Like it's not yours to have or to hold,
Right.
but just having the experience is what was the magical point in the first place.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think anybody. Okay, so what do you think about afterlife experiences? You know, when people like they die and they come back and they're like, "Oh, I was in this world of like I saw my body floating over top and like blah 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 blah. Like I saw these like angels come around me and stuff."
I mean, that's just something to do with the brain.
So
from what I've heard.
okay, so what I believe. All right, so check this out. Your mind, when you're fully experiencing something, when you're fully present in the moment,
Mhm.
you're not actually seeing anything. It only takes a recollection to see something. So
Right.
you're playing this video game right now.
Yeah.
We're having this conversation.
Mm.
Then I go, what did he just say? You have to jump back in time in your mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then be like, what did you just say? And then that'll be a figment of your imagination because it'll never be the exact thing. It'll always be like a question of what we said,
Right.
right? Unless you listen to the recording. But that is life's experiences in a nutshell. You're always just like recalling things.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So like when people say, "Oh, I was in a different dimension," or like I saw angels, you're recalling something that your mind could have created. It's
Right.
just a pseudo memory.
Yeah.
Every memory is a pseudo memory
Mhm.
in essence, because like the sheer fact that you have to recall it means you have to create it in your mind. And if you create it in your mind, it's open to interpretation.
Yeah.
It's open to error,
Yeah.
right?
It's never the same.
It's never the same twice, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like that, and it's that thought experiment kind of proves the fact that there is no such thing as an afterlife. Because if you died and you came back, how could you even recall it? You also don't have the sensory input to recall. You didn't have a brain when you died. You didn't have a cerebral cortex when you died. You didn't have your senses when you died. The cerebral cortex is the primary one because it's connected to your like senses. You know what I'm saying? It's your spine.
Yeah.
So like, if you didn't have those things to work with, how can you even recall something that you went into? You just have like an experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what the Buddhists say, like the Zen practitioners, when they go like, it is an experience of not knowing. Like when you go into meditation, no one can ever tell you what meditation is.
Right.
And it's not like esoteric. It's just literally you can't, because if I have to recall what meditation is, it isn't meditation because I'm not in the experience. I'm faking the experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You can only know what
Okay.
meditation feels like.
Right.
You know,
Through experience.
through sensation.
Or yeah.
Like you could feel it,
Yeah.
right? You're like, it felt like this. But even that is like a recall. So that you can't even trust that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, what can you trust in this world? Like nothing.
Yeah. No.
You know, good example. All right. When you get really good at like working with your own mind,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
like as a kid, or maybe even recently, I don't know, but as a kid,
Yeah.
big thing when I was a kid,
Okay.
you just like fake sick, and your mind can make that real.
Oh, like that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah.
just like, it happens all the time. It's like somatoform disorder. There's so many people that like they don't have any physical ailments, but what happens is the mind has made you sick,
Yeah.
and then they're like, oh, that's not real. You can get over it, but it's like, no, this is just showing you the power of the mind. Placebo effects.
Yeah. Please works. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's very much true.
Yeah. So like, all right, let's say you get slapped in the face, and then you're like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that was a good experience. I remember when we were doing martial arts.
Yeah.
We didn't do it through slaps, but we did it through punches. So we'd like punch each other,
Okay.
and it was like crazy training.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I was thinking about this, like
Mm-hmm.
the first martial arts academy I went to was all about mental training. It was very culty, but it was like really into mental training.
Right.
So like we'd like punch each other,
Mhm.
or like the shinai, you'd be like whipped, right?
Right.
And then like you'd have to translate that experience in your mind as being a good experience, or like
Right.
I'm stronger than this experience.
Mhm.
So if you can do that, then what is real?
Right. Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
because then everything becomes a trick, you know.
Mm.
But like a master of one, a true master is a master of oneself, you know. And like when you learn those things, those little tricks,
Yeah.
like when people are like, how do you output so much work? For me, right?
Mhm.
But it's like, you don't think I get stressed? Like what? Of course you do.
Right.
But like I know the mental trick to switch it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
it's like so like going from like a full-time job to like this to like doing other people's work, and then like all that, it's like, oh, you're accruing so much, like you're doing so much,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
But it's like all I do in transit is like, no, that was done and this is now.
Okay.
Like I do that all
Yeah,
the time,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
the day's done, don't even think about that anymore, it's over.
Yeah.
Think about what you're about to do next, you know.
Mhm.
But that's just a mental trick. But if I was obsessed about what I had just done, on top of thinking about what I'm going to do next, on top of what I'm going to do tomorrow, then how could you possibly operate that way?
Right. Yeah.
You know, because you'd be
yeah,
always thinking about, like, it would be compounded. It wouldn't just be one thing anymore. It'd be like one thing plus that thing plus that thing plus that thing. And
Mhm.
that's why people go crazy. That's why they can't handle the stress.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
they can't
yeah.
compartmentalize.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I thought this was about death.
But it is about death, though.
True.
That, right? Because, like,
Yeah.
the mind is the only thing that believes it's alive. And this is how the mind works. So
Yeah.
in understanding how the mind works, you understand that death is just a figment of your imagination.
Mm-hmm.
It's not real.
Right.
You know, if you looked at the whole universe as an organism, or no, here's a good example. If you if you looked at the ocean, how could you separate one piece of the ocean when it's all whole?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
like just looking at a cup of water,
Mhm.
okay? How can you differentiate one thing from that cup of water?
Mm-hmm.
Or here, actually, hold on. Here's a better example. This is the exact example that they use in like yogic texts. There's salt, and then there's water. Okay.
Okay.
Then you could see the two differences, right? You're like, okay, there's salt, there's water. Then they're like, okay, put the salt in the water and then stir it. Now where's the salt? It's a part of the water now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like you can't differentiate that when you look at it at that scale. So that's kind of like how the universe is. We're seeing it on a molecular level, like I'm seeing myself,
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing you. But if you zoom out, you're like, there is no you or me.
Right.
There's just like the universe operating under this like chaos.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And that's how I related it back to death. Because it's like
Yeah.
you're not dying. There is nobody dying.
So why did we do that? Why did I think it's like
Defense mechanism.
yeah.
Like I really believe
To-
this. You know, there's a part in your remember you showed me this video
Yeah.
where it's like, what do you remember that show?
Which show?
Like Seeking Death, and then like they on the brain they electrocuted one like neuron in the brain, and then they're like, oh, I could sense somebody behind me, like God behind me. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that like
the science show.
yeah.
Yeah, so like there was
Vaguely
this.
remember that. Yeah.
So but that stuck with me for a long time. So like there's this science show, and like they're proving that death is like a figment. No, like God is a figment of your imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We've created God for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's to curb our, what do you call that? It's like, it's to curb our like, I'm trying to think the exact word, but basically it's like to curb our debt, or
Right.
not debt, or like pressure, or self-pressure.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like if there was no God, then we'd be like, oh man, we're all alone. Like all of the pressure is on me.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're shifting blame. That's what it is.
Right. Yeah.
Like you're like, okay, it's not about me anymore. Like God's got it in his hands.
Yeah.
So you're like shifting the inability for you to just like do it. It's like a crutch.
Mm-hmm.
I can't deal with this, so I'm going to create this third party thing that's going to deal with it for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. 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 I mean. Yeah. I mean, has it like? I think there may have been a reason why we created it in the first place. I don't know if it's detrimental now.
What I
in
believe,
some ways?
for sure. What I believe is it was an old from reading the Graham Hancock stuff and going to his lectures. I think it was an old religion based off of psychedelics.
Mm-hmm.
Like think about it.
Yeah.
You're going to take like this thing and you're gonna like self-poison yourself to the point of like seeing things, and then you're going to rely too much on what you've seen than what is the reality of the situation. That's why I really like Zen, because like Zen is all about like not attaching to these idols and just being in the experience for the sake of its experience.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But is there beneficials? I mean.
Some minds can't handle it. Somebody's gonna listen to this podcast and turn it off and be like, no,
Yeah.
they're wrong.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know if everyone should be like that.
True, yeah, no.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there needs.
Well, actually, that's a great segue. So the real question is like, so then, are there segments of society, which there are? It's like,
What do you
not
mean?
so okay. So like the way we're thinking right now,
Yeah.
when we record this, and whoever's listening to it, and they're like jiving with it, they're like, oh yeah, this is actually. That's kind of the reason why we do it. At least
Mhm.
why I do it. It's like so you know that the other person on the end is not alone.
Right.
So it's like they're thinking of it and they stumble upon this and they're like, wow, these guys are thinking the same way as me. It's like, yeah, because people think it's sort of like when I came up with that nihilism thing of like like I was very like nihilistic,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was like, oh, that philosopher had already thought of the exact same things as me.
Yeah.
So it's like in him putting his work out there, when somebody stumbles upon it at the right moment, they're like, oh, I'm not alone. People have been thinking about this way for centuries, if not millennia.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So to circle back on your thing of like, do we all need to know it, or like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, no, we don't. But the people that already have an inclination towards this, it's just like, you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because some people can't handle it.
No. Yeah, I know. They're all in different.
We need accountants. We need bread makers.
That's
we
what I'm
need,
saying.
You know, like
Yeah.
we need plumbers. We need like, if we didn't have dumb people in society, not that you're dumb, but if we didn't have dumb people in society, if we didn't have if we didn't have type A, how would we have type B?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because like then if you don't have contrast, if you don't have duality, how can you know what the other thing is? Like if you don't
Exactly.
if you don't have hate, how can you know what love is?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You have to understand fully hate in order to be like, oh no, the complete opposite of it is this.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you didn't have hate, then everything would just be like mediocre.
Yeah.
There'd be no.
So we can't say dumb necessarily.
But like from their perspective, from my perspective, it's dumb. From their perspective, I might be dumb.
Okay.
See what I'm
Right.
saying? It's like,
Now I can accept that.
but that's the duality I'm saying.
Right.
Like we need the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm super into Taoism, because it's all about the yin and yang. So like you have the yin, like the soft, the yang, the hard,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the Tao, which is both of them together,
Right.
which is like it supersedes both because it's like it is the totality.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's you, then there's me, then there's the universe.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
It's an interesting topic. What happens if Einstein was wrong, though?
What do you mean?
We aren't one with the universe.
If we're not one with the universe, then I would say
Or what did it say? No, the energy thing. Sorry, not that.
energy can't be created or destroyed. Well, so you're saying that some energy can be destroyed?
Yeah, I mean,
Where does it go then?
I'm not though. I'm just saying.
No, but I mean like thought experiment wise, like where does it go?
But where thought experiment wise is based on that, right?
No, but
I'm saying like if some new thought happens.
right, no,
let's say.
but like logically thinking about it.
Well, we're logically thinking based on what we know now.
Okay.
If something new comes of it.
So then you're saying that like things can evaporate into existence?
Yeah. I mean, the things
Maybe.
that they find new in quantum science.
But like what particularly in quantum science?
No, I'm
though?
just saying, like, there are certain things in quantum science that doesn't match with general physics.
Right, but that is about scalability though, because gravity changes at a molecular level as well as on a space level.
Mm-hmm.
So like the mathematics that we have on Earth are not going to be the same mathematics in space.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
Just like on
yeah,
a quantum
yeah.
level, they're going to have to change as well.
Yeah.
You know. But we can account for it. Like we've devised mathematics on a large scale, on a macro scale.
Mhm.
We just haven't devised mathematics on a micro scale.
Right.
It's not that it's like it was in that like that quantum physics book that I read. It's like it's just full of unknowns. That's all it is. We just don't know how to quantify the mathematics on that
Mhm.
level because we don't have the tools yet. But that's it.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not anything crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying. And what would happen? That's all. Again, we don't know what would happen. That's not,
Yeah, true.
I guess
just-
a new thought would have to come out some other way to.
It's hard to say like what if. It's hard to say that like
It is. Yeah.
the opposite of energy can't be created or destroyed would be energy can be destroyed.
Yeah, that's.
But then it's like, but that would kind of like I don't know how to interpret that one.
because we don't know how to interpret that one yet.
No, but like
If it's true, I'm just saying it may not ever be true at all.
but what does that even conceptually look like? It's like, so what does that mean?
Yeah, but then, what I'm saying is that we are only thinking based on what we know now, right? And that's what we have been grown up to think.
Right. I see what you're saying. I think
I think
that's more like, it either is or it isn't.
Yeah.
So like
At the moment, we think it is.
No,
Like
no. I mean, like the whole energy can't be created or destroyed. It's like that energy that's already in existence can't be destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
But the energy that's not in existence, that is the duality there. You get what I'm saying? It's like it's the yin and the yang again. So the yin would be that energy's here. The yang would be that there's no energy there. So it's like it either is or it isn't in this plane of existence.
Right.
So like anything that is in this plane of existence cannot be destroyed. But anything that's not in this plane of existence is already destroyed. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Maybe.
I'm trying to like rationalize what you're saying.
Yeah,
about,
I know. I don't even know how to rationalize what I'm saying. I'm just trying to throw it up there, something different.
But I think that like in order for it to not, the opposite of energy can't be created or destroyed is there isn't it isn't there yet.
Yeah. Okay.
It isn't in this plane of existence. You know. Like, I don't know, logically, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about logic because it's like life is just a story we sell ourselves.
Yeah.
I switched that from tell ourselves to sell ourselves because you have to just like prove it to yourself.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, it's not really about telling yourself anything. It's about what can you sell yourself, right? And like, so like at the end of the day, like if I can't rationalize it, it doesn't matter because like if to me rationally it makes sense that energy can't be created or destroyed, that's good enough because at the end of the day it's like it's just, do I feel content? Yes, so it's fine.
Okay. Right.
But if you don't feel content, then you're going to be constantly seeking for answers. You know, do you feel like you've like not in like a pompous way, but like do you feel like you're satisfied with the answers you've gotten in life? Like do you like, I guess the question is like, would you say you understand yourself? Do you Bruce Lee, I'm reading this Bruce Lee book right now, and he's like, it's all about the highest attainment is being a realized being.
Okay.
Like, do you think you've realized?
What does that mean, though?
Like, are you searching for answers for anything right now?
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, totally. But do you remember a point where you were searching for answers?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, the general ones would be the answers. What are these, like the religion thing at the time?
Yeah, but I think that, yeah, so totally. I think what that means really is like the answer we're really searching for is who are we and why are we here?
Right.
And right, like that's what everyone wants to know. Like it doesn't mean like the answer I'm searching for is like why do you keep reading? It's like it's to clarify what I already know.
Right.
You know, but I already know it, but it's not in terms of like mathematics, like, or like learning a new skill. I don't mean it like that. I mean it like, have you answered in yourself, like, who are we and why are we here?
Who are we? Why are we here?
Yeah. Have you answered that in yourself? Like, there's a personal question. Like, it's not rhetorical.
No.
Like,
I know.
Ask
Yeah. Who are we? I just think of, I just think
like,
of
how do you answer that question? All right, here, we'll go back and forth. You go first. Who are we and why are we here? What is your answer?
It's just an organism.
Okay.
That needs to grow, I guess.
And why are we here?
Why are we here?
Yeah.
There is no answer to that.
But are you solidified in those answers? Do you believe in those answers fully, or are you questioning those answers?
No.
What do you mean?
No, I mean, no. Why are we here?
No, I'm asking you, like, do you believe in those answers?
Oh, yeah.
You do, right? Yeah. So you've realized the biggest answers to life's major question: who are we and why are we here? So for me, it's who are we? We are whatever we want ourselves to believe. Why are we here? Whatever you want to tell yourself as to why you're here. Yeah. Right? But that, even though they're different, right? It's like, because we've answered those questions fully without a shadow of a doubt, like, I can't shake your belief. You can't shake my belief. I know that that's the truth.
Right.
Just as I'm sure you know that's the truth.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't
So
disagree with yours either, though.
No, I agree. Yeah. Because
right? I looked at it more.
No, right, because you're so secure in your belief system. So it's only when people are like, so I believe in, somebody's like, I believe in God, and like, there's no God. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You're not secure enough.
Yeah.
If you're like, I believe in God, there is no God. Okay, if that's what you think. Then you are secure. So what we really seek in this world is security.
Right.
The security to know who are we and why are we here.
Yeah.
It's life's biggest questions.
Yeah.
Because like, and I guess the other third biggest question, because they always come in threes, is like, where do we go when we die?
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's what religion solves. Like,
Well, that's what religion, tries to solve.
Our whole life pursuit.
Yeah.
Our whole life pursuit, like our whole like outward life pursuit is the seeking out of the answer of who are we and why are we here. And then our whole afterlife pursuit, which is where spirituality comes in, is where do we go when we die?
But yeah, the other question comes in: if say heaven's real, what the hell do you do in heaven? Isn't that living
whatever
like
you wanna do?
No, but then that's the thing about living forever, right? Or like being
exactly
bored.
when you get bored, yeah.
Yeah,
No, yeah, for sure.
Right, that just comes back up again. What would you do up there?
Yeah, what they say, people who like decode like those spiritual texts and stuff, heaven is like a perspective. That's why like Jesus said heaven is here on earth.
Okay, yeah.
But people think it's like this other place or this like untangible realm. It's like no, you can be punched, like you can be shanghaied, like I was saying.
Yeah.
And then you're either like, oh, this sucks, hell, or you could be like, oh, I'm stronger than this, heaven. Like heaven and hell are just perspectives.
Yeah. No, I've heard that too, and I think that's more plausible thinking that may have been adjusted in its meaning, or
because like anything that has to do with like this falsity of what heaven is, like this like greed sensation of like heaven, I get everything I want. That's built off desire, and desire is a byproduct of the mind. So really, it's just the mind who can't accept the reality of the situation. You know, that it's not that important. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we get so caught up in thinking we're important, but the only thing that really thinks it's important is the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing that's afraid of dying. There is no fear. Think about it. All right, when you're a kid, you're fearless. You do anything. Doesn't matter about death, right? Because you don't think you're going to die.
Right.
And then you hit like an age where you're like, oh no, I could die. And then you cling desperately to anything that will provide you with security, whether it be like a 401k, a stable job, a retirement package, all these things that make you believe that, you're not going to die.
Right.
But you haven't accepted the fact that you are going to die. So it's like, well, if you're going to die and your time is limited, what are you going to do with your time?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's like, I think that's also partially why religion was such a control mechanism, because it's like if we can hold on to this idea of death long enough and hold it over people's heads, then that makes it like we can control you.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like okay, just like forego this for now, and then in heaven you'll get this. So just do my bidding right now because you're gonna get a bigger payout later on. You're like taking advantage of other people's insecurities or their greed. Well, probably both.
Yeah.
In order to control them.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I do.
That's my gripe with religion. But I think if everyone just realized the reality of the situation, like people would be a lot happier and they'd probably do the things that they want to do in life.
But then you also want people to do other things that not necessarily.
That's true. It goes back to your question of like, should everyone know this? And it's like, no, because then we won't have the society we live in.
Right.
But I guess that's from a greedy perspective of like, I don't want to lose the society we live in. But like
selfish perspective.
Yeah, but what about like a greater society that could be potentially built off of like, you know, like people are like, but I think this is so like airy fairy when people are like, well, we could have a society built off of love and understanding. It's like, okay, bro, kumbaya to you.
I just don't think it's gonna be possible.
Yeah, it's you know it's
I don't think it'll ever be possible.
yeah it's you know, want to hear like a great example of why it wouldn't be possible?
Sure.
Because it's like, okay, then give me all your money. You know, like, hey man, we could share everything, kumbaya. All right, give me all your money.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I can't. All right, well, it's selfish. It's greed. It's self. What do you call that? It's self-saving.
Right.
You know, we all have this like level of because it's live now.
Yeah.
Nobody. We can't edit these, so you're gonna hear our dog either barking or like drinking water,
Right.
like she's doing right now. Anyways, so we all have this like self-serving attitude where it's like I just don't believe it when people say like the whole world can be run off of love. It's not true though, because like, give me all your money. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
but then the people that do believe that, they did give all their money, and that's why Osho was so rich.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm
Someone's gonna
saying?
be rich.
Somebody's gonna be rich. So it's like, yeah, you're gonna live in this like diluted reality of love and understanding, while the
Mhm.
person that understands that it can't be all love and understanding is taking advantage of you.
Yeah.
Osho said a lot of great things. Like, I think he's a genius,
Mm-hmm.
right? Simultaneously, he took advantage of a lot of people.
Yeah, with that power that he had. Yeah.
Exactly, because they were believing in his love and understanding, but he was like, haha, fool, it isn't just love and understanding. And I think like going back to Taoism, that's the highest point. It's like if you're a Taoist, you believe in yin and yang.
Mm-hmm.
But people who are all about love and understanding, they're all about the yin. What about the yang, bro? You need hard work. You can't just lie around all day and do nothing. We'd be like animals.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
all right, like even if we could lie around all day, that's also really selfish. So your idea of this love and understanding isn't even loved or understood. It's selfish
Mhm.
because you want it to be given to you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, I'm gonna lie in bed all day in a hammock because my life is all about love and understanding.
Right.
Who's giving you the food?
I think the only way that's potentially possible, you gotta have the same people of the same like thinking.
You live in a commune then.
Yeah.
But like,
I think that's like in order to
but here, what about this though? If
or
you live in a
believe in the
commune,
same kind of thing.
if you
Yeah.
live in a commune, the reason why I don't believe in love and understanding, I do to a degree. It's yin and yang, right? Like
Yeah.
there is a limit to it. You also have to think about the yang. So like we live in a world of finite resources, and then the person with love and understanding is going to say, we don't live. It's an infinite universe of infinite resources.
Right.
Okay, sure. We live in a commune. Who gets the biggest room? There's only one room, bro. Finite resources.
Right.
Okay, we live in a commune. Who gets the nicest hammock?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to share that hammock? What about if I want to use the hammock when you want to use the hammock?
Right.
Who's going to get it? Are we just not going to use the hammock then? We're just going to be like, all right, because we both want it at the same time, nobody's going to use it. Okay, so you're just wasting resources. So either you're wasting resources or you have finite resources. We don't have infinite resources. In business, they call it an opportunity cost.
Mhm.
In order to choose one thing, you have to give up another thing.
Right.
So that already
So-
tells you that we can't live in a world of like love and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
There's no infinite resources.
Mm-hmm. Right.
What we can do is live in a world of compassion. Right? Because in compassion, you're like, okay, we only have one hammock, but I understand that you're probably sore. You can go first. That's compassion.
Yeah.
Like seeing beyond yourself.
Right.
And I think that's what I think people who talk about love and understanding are misguided, or at least maybe they really mean seeing beyond yourself. Because when you see beyond your own perspective, only then can you live with compassion,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I get on the subway,
Yeah.
and then like this literally happened today. I love my one spot on the subway.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it's like where the conductor is, right?
Okay.
Like I sit there and then like my back's against the thing so I can like read as I'm
Conductor.
going, right?
Okay. Yeah,
the
yeah.
train operator.
Yeah, right.
So then this family comes on with like a little girl, and then she's like, there's like enough room for one other person, right? So they're like, okay, do you want to stand there to the little girl? And I'm like, okay, this is your little girl and you,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm taking up this half of the space. Compassion kicks in, and I'm like, I'm just gonna move. It's okay. Like, I can read another time.
Right.
So I move over and I let the mother and daughter stand in that like little crevice.
Yeah. Right.
Was it out of love? No, it was out of compassion. Right? Because
Mhm.
it's like, we don't have infinite resources. There was only one space. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's like, out of that one space, I saw beyond myself, and I was like, okay, the compassionate thing to do would be like, you guys can like chill there, whatever. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Does make sense. Compassion.
Compassion, yeah. Because compassion doesn't negate finite resources. Compassion understands that there's finite resources, and then is like, okay, for the greater good,
Mm-hmm.
or for you, but like sometimes I don't want to move. You know what I mean? Like, if there's like a bunch of young kids that go on, I'm like, I'm not gonna move out of that spot. I'm like, dude, you guys can stand.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna use the spot and read, because you guys are just gonna chill there, whereas I want to read there.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to like see beyond yourself. You're like, you guys are fine. But that little girl and the mom, like, you guys are not fine. I will.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Very good point.
Yeah. I don't know. Thoughts?
I don't know. I don't know what else to add. I think that's. I don't know. What other thoughts should I have?
I guess. No, that was good. That's a nice rant.
Yeah, that
But
was.
I don't know, because I think they're both connected. Like, because if you're like, oh, how is this related to death? It's like, it is related to death, because all death is of the mind, and every scenario, any human interaction is mind based.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, good way to put it.
Yeah. All right. Till next time, when we talk about hopefully something less intense. Actually, no, we should talk about the social media thing and the Vice. We got a lot of topics on the go.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta take
So-
down notes on Vice, though.
Yeah, it was a good movie. It was
Oh,
a good
yeah.
movie. We'll maybe we'll do a
Mhm.
movie review for Vice coming up soon. So, yeah.
Yes.
So, any final thoughts?
I mean, just
I
pray to
mean-
God that we're. I don't know.
I like that. I love that. I love that. Okay. Final thought. Oh, I had a really bad one, but I'm not going to say that one. Everything will be granted in the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah, 3 wishes.
Ooh, Aladdin's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Till next time.
All right.
Take it easy.
Peace.
Bye.